Today on Andy Tells All, a look into Haiti, the poorest country in the West, and also a country full of voodoo and evil. We'll look into the history of Haiti, the voodoo, Catholic, and Christian religions, how corruption and voodoo tie to the current devastation in Haiti, and how Haiti's corruption is tied to the US and the world. So I found an article written by a voodoo priestess, a mambo, who was raised in the Episcopal Church and then initiated into the voodoo religion as an adult. So she can give us some good insight from both perspectives, the Christian mindset and the voodoo mindset. So this is coming from her perspective, but I'm also going to give my perspective as a Christian that's walking the narrow path. The article reads, "The voodoo religion is sometimes criticized as an amoral religion, one without a value system or code of behavior. The Judeo-Christian tradition posits a spectrum of spiritual states, with the highest or most desirable being that of the good person, and the lowest or least desirable that of the evil person. The good person in this tradition is kind, loving, selfless, generous, truthful, harmless to others, and the evil person is cruel, selfish, a liar, and hurtful to others. In the Christian tradition, a good person victimized by an evil person is not blamed. In extreme cases, such individuals are considered martyrs and candidates for sainthood. The victimized individual enjoys the support of society, the judicial system, and most importantly, God, who can be supplicated and invoked to save the victim and punish the aggressor. The voodoo tradition also posits a spectrum of existential states, with the highest or most desirable being that of the powerful person, and the lowest or least desirable being that of the powerless person. So basically, powerful is better than powerless. And the people that practice voodoo are then seeking a sense of control and power in their rituals. Power is defined as the ability to do what one wishes, obtain wealth, make others perform desired actions, even against their will, or harm others without being punished or harmed in return. The proof of power is in the individual's material wealth or social and political status. In the Haitian Creole language, the words moun de bien, literally person of good, means both a good person and a rich person, a person with goods, as in worldly goods. Now, regarding spirits, the Iwa, the immediately accessible deities of voodoo, are considered less powerful than God, the great master, but much more immediately efficacious, meaning they're more immediately effective. A person must serve the Iwa in order to enjoy that particular Iwa's protection. A person serves an Iwa by singing songs about the Iwa at a voodoo ceremony, dressing in the Iwa's colors, making food offerings, and observing sexual continence on certain days of the week. Another individual who serves the Iwa better, that is to say, with more effort, more material gifts, can enjoy a preferential standing. The Iwa do not prescribe moral behavior. They confer protection and power. Now, side note, what the article does not mention is the blood rituals and animal sacrifices that are also frequently involved. This is witchcraft. And some say that they do good witchcraft, others do dark and more benevolent witchcraft. Some work during the day, others work at night, light versus dark. Because as you'll see in their thought process, they think if my kid is sick, it's okay to sacrifice someone else in order to heal him. So we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. In the voodoo tradition, a victim is by definition in the wrong. The Iwa have shown their preference for the victimizer by giving that person more power than the victim. A victimized individual is an object of derision. They feel shame, and they supplicate the Iwa in order to obtain power to wreak vengeance on the aggressor. Misfortune of any kind is always the fault, at least in part, of the person upon whom it falls, because that person failed to adequately protect himself. So in essence, they do intentions, they do witchcraft, magic, whatever you want to call it, soul-sucking activities in order to gain some sort of control over their life rather than giving it to God. And any sort of manipulation is considered witchcraft. Again, we'll get into that. So this author went to a seminar and spoke with a Haitian man who told her, women are by nature inferior to men. She said, how so? And he said, any lie you tell them, they believe you. Here's her explanation. A Christian perceives the lie as an evil act perpetrated by the man upon the women against whom he sins. The woman who believes a lie is an innocent victim to be succored but not blamed. Indeed, she is considered the spiritual superior of the man because she did not lie. The man who lied is exhorted not to lie again because lying is hurtful to others and therefore displeasing to God. A voodoo saint, by contrast, perceives the lying man as a winner who has won a victory against the woman, the loser, who deserves to be mocked and blamed for her credulity, the weakness which enabled the man to victimize her. She, not he, is in need of correction. She is exhorted by her neighbor women not to trust others, and it is considered perfectly permissible and even admirable if she is able to recoup her losses by lying to the man or to another completely unrelated individual. Does this sound familiar to you at all? In our sheltered country of the US, what would we call this? A narcissist or maybe a misogynist, right? Narcissists think they are the victim, when in reality, they manipulate people and they treat them like trash. Well, guess who else is a narcissist? And a misogynist, and a liar, and an abuser, a murderer, accuser, tempter, evil, you get my point? Satan. So wherever we see this kind of behavior, we can understand it is not from God, but from the dark side. The God of the Bible, not your version of a God, which is what idolatry is, making up a God to suit you and your lifestyle and your habits, but the Almighty God condemns lying. So this woman who's writing the article, she's a women's rights advocate. God is also a women's rights advocate. And how does he advocate for women? He doesn't tell them to get revenge, like the voodoo saints believe. No, he advocates for women by keeping men in line, by keeping men faithful to their wives, leaders in their household, trustworthy, and stand-up men in their communities, proud to be a man, and no, not pride, being proud of parading sin. So you see, God has created boundaries and standards for us, and giving people more freedom, meaning freedom outside of God's morals and commands, actually hurts everyone involved. I digress. So she told him, "Aren't you ashamed, sir? You just told the world that you're a liar." And the man shook his head, saying, "Well, if they believe you." So for him, lying is not a defeat, but a strategy in the exercise of power. He would feel shame if he was caught in a lie. Not because he lied, but because he lied ineffectively. Doesn't that sound familiar? Have you ever heard the saying, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness? Haven't you ever been lied to by someone and they didn't care until they were caught, and then they said sorry only because they were caught, not because they actually cared? This is the work of the devil. The devil is a liar. She continues in the article. I've always thought that this equation of power, obtained by whatever means with evidence of spiritual favor, lies at the root of Haitian political problems. Oh yes, it absolutely does. Not just the root of their political problems, but the root of all of their problems. God says, don't do witchcraft. Don't take advantage of people. Don't lie. Don't kill. Don't steal. And if you don't obey, bad things will happen. Haiti is a big example of what not to do. So let's touch really quickly on Haiti's very depressing history. In a nutshell, France instituted slavery in Haiti in the 17th century. But in the 18th century, the enslaved population rebelled and eventually declared independence. It's argued and believed that voodoo played a significant role in that success. They were summoning spirits to help them fight. Unfortunately, later, the French were still hurt by their defeat. So in the 19th century, they came up with the idea that they needed to be compensated. The French, rather than the Haitian slaves being compensated for being slaves. So they extorted them. They cornered them with cannons and told them basically, pay us 150 million francs, or you die, or you get enslaved again. So this amount was actually more than 10 times Haiti's annual budget. And the rest of the world seemed to agree that the amount was pretty absurd. So Haiti, scared, they borrowed 30 million francs from French banks to make the first two payments. And of course they defaulted. So France sent warships back to Haiti to force the Haitian president's hand. They wrote a treaty of friendship to reduce the outstanding debt to 60 million francs. And again, the Haitian government took out loans to pay the balance. The French then charged them draconian taxes to pay off those loans. At that time, the Haitian president was developing a national school system, but that had to be put on hold. Researchers have found that the independence debt and the resulting drain on the Haitian treasury were directly responsible not only for the underfunding of education in the 20th century, but also the lack of health care and the country's inability to develop public infrastructure. In the end, all of the loans, taxes, and interest payments weren't completely paid off until 1947, and Haitians ended up paying more than twice the value of the colonists' claims. Subsequently, French economists acknowledged that France should repay at least $28 million in restitution to Haiti. Many French presidents punished, skirted, or downplayed Haitian demands for recompense, and in the end, Haiti did not receive anything at all in restitution. Now, a couple of notes on this. The God of the Bible does not approve of slaves overthrowing their slave owners by brute force or demonic assistance. He also does not approve of exploitation, greed, and dishonest gain. So it looks like all parties are at fault to some extent here. Neither one of them is clean of sin. But to continue, fast forward to 1981, when Haiti was dealt another serious economic blow, an outbreak of swine fever in the Dominican Republic, the neighbor of Haiti. U.S. officials, agencies, and international actors like the International Development Bank worried that the disease would infest the U.S. hog population and pressured Haitians to kill their prized Creole pigs, the backbone of Haiti's agricultural sector. The Creole pigs once served as a bank for Haitian families. A family with a fat, healthy Creole pig could pay for food, clothing, and education before the 1981 swine fever outbreak. After Haitians were forced to kill all their pigs, they were promised U.S. aid, compensation funds, and replacement hogs from North America. However, the animals were unable to survive in the new climate. The country's pork industry failed, Creole pigs went extinct, and Haiti's economy changed forever, displacing people from the countryside into Port-au-Prince, entrenching economic instability, and creating the overcrowding and unemployment conditions that have allowed gang violence to proliferate throughout the years. But the international role in Haiti's crises can't be ignored. From the time the U.S. Marines landed in 1915, because the Haitian president was assassinated, until today, with a couple of exceptions, the U.S. has chosen every leader in different ways. And each time they did, Haiti got marginally worse because Haitians did not choose them and they had no respect for them, and because they would succumb to corruption. Okay, let's go back to that first article. Again, I have always thought, coming from the Voodoo Priestess, that this equation of power obtained by whatever means with evidence of spiritual favor lies at the root of Haitian political problems. So she's basically calling her religion out for contributing to the political problems in Haiti, but nowhere did her article say that she stopped practicing voodoo. Very interesting. She continues. I recall that the geographical areas of Benin, Nigeria, and the Congo were, prior to the African diaspora, organized politically as kingdoms. Some were stable agricultural societies, some were imperialist empires, which conducted wars and trade battles with their neighbors. As in the monarchies of Europe, The divine right of the king to rule was recognized and enforced, and the will of the king was by definition the will of deity. Haiti's government in the past was typically elected as a democracy, but then functioned as a monarchy. The will of the president was enforced, and not the Constitution, the Bible of running a government. Even Haitian pastors of Protestant churches haven't escaped imbibing this all-pervasive attitude. During the military coup of September 30th, 1991, thousands of Haitians were killed. Among the dead was Silvio Claude, an activist Protestant pastor, yet no Protestant Haitian pastor ever publicly denounced the regime or the acts which it committed. The task was left to a few liberation theologian priests of the Roman Catholic Church. Now, it's worth pointing out here that Catholicism is a perverted or crooked form of Christianity. Derek Prince said in a sermon, "God blesses and curses, and the greatest and most common cause of curses in people's lives is from breaking the first two commandments. The Bible says, 'You shall have no other gods before me,' which in Hebrew means just as much 'beside me.' It's not a question of having the Lord as a main God and other gods as well, because he says, 'I am the Lord, and besides me there is no other God.' So you must not acknowledge any other God except the true God." That's the first commandment. The second commandment is, "You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth below, or that is in the water underneath the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them, for I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me." The pastor continues, "So think about the billions of people on earth, all of whose ancestors worshipped idols for countless centuries. Think of the pile up of curses." He says, "In my opinion, it's scarcely worth ministering in Southeast Asia if you can't deal with the subject of the curse, because basically 95% of all people there are under a curse. That's not to say they're bad people. I think they're wonderful people, but there's something from the past." So, remember the history from Haiti. They have been worshiping their own gods for centuries, the Iwas. Unless they've broken that curse and surrender to the one true God, they're still under a curse. The famines, the earthquakes, the destruction, the gangs, the poverty, it comes from God's curse. Meanwhile, the Catholic Church promotes that you should pray to different saints and angels for different things, like Saint Christopher to sell your house faster, the saint for protection. I don't know them all because Catholicism is wrong. Sound familiar? Sound like the Iwas? Sound like Voodoo? Yes, it's the same thing with a different name. Only one is maybe dressed a little bit more sophisticated. Worshipping or praying to anything other than God the Father is going directly against him, and thus worshipping the devil/demons. You think you're not guilty of it? Real quick. Have you ever bought Nike shoes? The goddess of victory? Have you ever drank from the cup of demons, literally? When you get a coffee from Starbucks, the logo is a two-tailed siren, a demon goddess. This is what the world wants you to do. The world wants you to be separated from God in everything that you do. So back to Haiti. In another article, many Haitians practice both Voodoo and Roman Catholicism, and there is no contradiction in doing so. Voodoo is often practiced in conjunction with Catholicism, and it's widely accepted that people can participate in both Catholic Mass and Voodoo ceremonies. Voodoo is one of the official religions of Haiti, and it has its origins in ancestral African faiths. It's based on patron saints and ancestral spirits, and is practiced by people of various ethnicities. Another source said Haiti is around 80% Catholic, 20% Protestant, and 100% Voodoo. This is witchcraft. Why do so many Catholics somehow turn witchy? With their altars and their sage and their idols, their little figurines, their incense and their holy water. I know some people that grew up Catholic and then they got into Santeria or witchcraft or Satanism. I actually the other day met some Catholic high school men who listened to satanic music and they thought it was a joke. It is all the same at the end of the day. Witchcraft is not okay with God. I used to do it and I lost everything. Luckily, God didn't let me get that deep. I mean, I lost everything for the most part besides my life because he scared me straight. And I will post that testimony after this one, so make sure to subscribe because that's coming next. And thank you so much. I will also be getting into Catholicism, my experiences, demons, everything. I've got plenty of stories for you. But anyway, can we see the struggle and the need to control and the need to gain power? That is the whole theme of this video. That is what we're looking at here. And I'll show you, if you haven't noticed already, how doing those types of activities ultimately brings on destruction and death in the end. So let's continue. Back to the first article, talking about the military coup of 1991, where thousands of Haitians were killed and nobody spoke up about it, including the Voodoo clergy. They were silent even though members of their congregations were tortured and killed. Nobody spoke out about the abuse. Instead, they secretly performed magic spells and protection spells behind the scenes. Per the article, while social protest might be expected from a Christian leader, it would have seemed incongruous and outside the usual realm of activities for a Hungan or Mambo. Why didn't you protest? She once asked the Haitian pastor of a small independent Protestant church. It wasn't my duty, he replied. Yes, of course, rape, murder, and torture are sins. Yes, we are supposed to denounce sins. So why didn't you? Was it simply that you were afraid? I can certainly understand if you were. No, he said, I had nothing to be afraid of, because God is stronger than Satan. So why not protest? I asked. God is stronger. You will win. No, said the pastor. Satan was in power at the time. This sort of circular illogic is so very characteristic of Haitian psychology. It becomes almost invisible to the international observers trying to make sense of the inability of Haiti to function normally, no matter how coddled up and propped up and carefully led are its leaders. Do you see the corruption brewing with their thought mentality? Do you see the prime battlefield for wicked spirits, for deceiving spirits? It's important to note, your body is a vessel. What they say, it's not just a saying. It's absolutely true. And if you do not have the Holy Spirit inside of that vessel, guiding you to act in a way that is pleasing to God, a way that brings eternal life, and a way that brings you peace in your time here on earth, then you have any other spirit that is not of God inside your body. Any other spirit, and it could be many different ones, that are all of the devil. So, in doing spiritual work that is outside of what God permits, like certain meditations and breath work, yoga, Reiki, soul work, psychic readings, tarot cards, zodiacs, trusting in idols like evil eyes and dream catchers and hamsas, all these things. I used to do all of these things. I'm Colombian. Colombians are witchy, and certain family members did promote these types of practices to me while I was growing up. If you are doing this, then you are welcoming in spirits like the Iwa who are not of God. And what do demonic spirits of the devil want to guide you to do? Steal, kill, and destroy. And that might not mean towards someone else. That could just be to you, to destroy yourself. I know it sounds extreme, and it is. Maybe you're not feeling it now, but you will pretty soon. I invited a demon into my life, unknowing what demons were, unknowing anything about Christianity. I was like, ooh, do a little witchcraft spell. Thank God. He opened my spiritual eyes, and he showed me the truth behind all of the lies. And Jesus saved me. Hallelujah. Back to Haiti and the current living conditions and gang activities. Haiti has faced serious and compounding crises, including a devastating 2010 earthquake, floods, cholera outbreaks, hurricanes, and corrupt, dictatorial, and incompetent leaders. But the current crises affects everyday life to a perilous degree. Ordinary Haitians are afraid to leave their homes, even to access food and water. A fluid network of violent gangs controls nearly every aspect of life for thousands of people. Government officials are either beholden to the gangs or attempting to use them for their own self-interest. And the international community has proven unwilling or unable to help Haitians, both those who leave and those who stay, find peace and safety. So back since 1994, armed groups have formed for protection of different areas. And during the earthquake in 2010, imprisoned gang members were able to escape, either rejoining old neighborhood gangs or forming new groups within camps intended for people displaced by the natural disaster. United Nations peacekeeping troops stationed in the country in some capacity from 1993 till 2017 failed to contain the violence or stop the gangs from developing and growing, all the while engaging in multiple scandals involving sexual violence. The UN. The UN was busy getting laid by the young Haitian women and exploiting them by giving them pennies to put babies in them. Literally, that's the title of the article. It's in the description. The UN is a scam, y'all. A worldwide corruption organization. They all are. But we'll be posting more content on that coming soon. So let's talk about the gangs. Vivre Ensemble, or Live Together, is the name of the alliance of gangs that was created after the DR closed its border with Haiti in September of 2023. This is just last year. Their idea was to unite the gangs to overcome obstacles that the border closure posed to their drug smuggling operations. 2 weeks after the alliance was announced, 2 tons of cocaine were stolen from gang leader 5 Seconds is his name, and the alliance fell apart. His gang is believed to be the largest cocaine trafficker in Haiti, sending much of its product to Europe. The alliance was later resurrected in February of this year, February 2024. The alliance pledged to overthrow the country's prime minister and resist Kenyan-led security forces once they were deployed, calling the troops invaders. Days later, they stormed a prison and released 4,600 prisoners. The chaos caused the prime minister to resign. One of the escapees, Dimitri Herard, was the head of the security unit that protected the president's palace before the president was assassinated in 2021. He told them to stand down as mercenaries, most of whom were Colombian, stormed the president's home. Herard is now helping organize and advise the gang and may be providing connections to larger criminal organizations. Vivre Ensemble appears to have weapons from the Colombian cartel, Gulf Clan, which operates along the Caribbean's coastline and uses neighboring countries to traffic cocaine. President Petro of Colombia said that thousands of military weapons had been stolen and sold to armed groups like cartels and may have gone to Haiti. Another powerful gang leader, Vitel Innocent, was linked to the president's killing. He rented one of the cars used in the killing. Herard, the head of security mentioned before, was also a prime suspect in one of the largest cases that DEA ever pursued in Haiti. In 2015, a cargo ship docked in Port-au-Prince with more than 1,000 kilos of cocaine and heroin hidden among sacks of sugar. At that time, Michael Martelly was Haiti's president, and Herard was a senior member of his presidential security force. Herard was seen by multiple witnesses at the port ordering members of the Presidential Guard to ferry drugs off the ship and into police vehicles. Most of the drugs in the case disappeared. Witnesses were intimidated by Haitian government officials, including one police officer, Jimmy Cherizier, aka Barbecue. Barbecue is now one of Haiti's most powerful gang leaders. We're going to talk about him soon. Martelly, the president, has been lobbying Caribbean leaders and his political allies to try to influence the interim government and also proposed to give immunity to the gangs, part of a wider immunity for previous government officials who could be accused of corruption. The government of Martelly was accused of rampant corruption, including misappropriation of aid worth about $2 billion from Venezuela. And on August 20th, 2024, the United States sanctioned the former president for trafficking drugs, in particular cocaine, into the US and for sponsoring several gangs based in Haiti. The idea of an amnesty could add fuel to the fire if Haitians are not consulted, said Romain Lecour, a Haiti security analyst at the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime. Considering the inability of politicians to come together in this moment of crisis, and given that gangs have committed severe human rights violations. Did you hear that? The inability of politicians to come together. Why can't they come together? Because they're all crooked. They're all doing spells on each other, lying to each other, trying to take advantage of each other, selling drugs, killing each other. Do you see how the spiritual religion that focused on power over powerless causes issues from the top to the bottom? Side note, this is also what the elites in the US around the world do too. They're just better at covering it up by giving us more entertainment, by selling us on the American dream, basically by keeping us busy, poisoned, and separated from God. In the coming days, I'll share a testimony from a witch who worked with celebrities, and she pointed out that it's not the glamour that you see on the outside behind the scenes. Everyone is out to get each other because they've all sold their souls and they're working for the kingdom of darkness, the kingdom of lies, just like P. Diddy was. And everybody's saying, oh, that's why Aaliyah died, because she knew too much. No, it's because she chose to play with devils. You sell your soul to the dark side, you're cooked. No pun intended. Maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, but in the end, definitely. And again, it looks nice from the outside, but we know the kind of mental health issues they have to deal with and battle, which are really, at the end of the day, spiritual issues. Because Jesus is the cure for anything. He has the power to trample on demons. So the gangs. For years, the gangs fought between themselves. But in February of this year, they came together and brought the state to its knees, forcing the prime minister to resign. These gangs now run 80% of the capital. Maybe more now. I saw that stat 2 months ago, and I haven't seen an updated stat. The economy is in ruins. Humanitarian aid is dire. There used to be a lot of street vendors in the city, but now the people can't sell anything. If they go in the streets, they get murdered. They have no way to make money. They have no support coming in. They can't move. They can't do anything. One lady is making and selling mud cookies to survive. Cookies made of dirt, water, a bouillon cube, and maybe some sugar or some salt, if she can get it. She takes that mud mixture, that, cookie, what do you call it? Cookie dough made of dirt. She puts it on a sheet, not a baking sheet, a bedding sheet, and she lies it on the floor and lets it bake in the sun. The same floor where there is sewage, dead bodies, trash, filth. But she doesn't have a choice. She said this is what she does when their hunger is so unbearable that they just need to put something in their stomach. Literally mud from the floor. She actually has to travel to try to find better mud, better quality dirt than the dirt that is in her neighborhood to make these cookies. Could you imagine? Could you imagine living like that? A poor mom saying that she feels like she's dead already inside. Another woman was raped by some very young men. One of them was maybe 13 years old. After they raped her, they killed her 6-year-old son. Her mother ran outside to help, and she was shot in the head. Another woman said, they killed my husband. They beat him to death. I wish they would have killed me instead. Meanwhile, the gang members are smoking weed. They're making rap videos. They're condemning the wealthy elites, but then they're showing off their cars and their motorcycles and their designer clothes. Another gang leader shows off his pool house, and then he complains that he fights all day, but he doesn't get any money for fighting. But the gangs do make money from drugs, from kidnapping and extortion. with kidnapping actually being one of the gang's most lucrative trades. In the beginning of the year, they were kidnapping around 5 people a day. It's probably more now. The same citizens they're saying they're protecting. Yes, that is circular illogic. Civilians have to pay armed bandits for the right to travel in their country, a risk that could get them killed. But if you need to find better mud to make food, you're going to do it, right? They don't have a choice. The gangs claim to use the funds from all of their activities to fund community work. What community work, you ask? I'll tell you. The police basically shoot at anyone that goes into the street. So these people, again, they can't move. But then the gang members, they spread terror by running through the community, raping, abusing, mutilating, and killing people, and burning their houses so they can flee. And they happily burn people alive while they're in their houses. Why? Because they are sacrificing lives to their gods, whether they know it or not. So your body is being used to do good or to do bad, whether you know it or not. Your body is a vessel for spirits. But they say they burn houses so that they have a clear space to see who they're really shooting at. They say it's better to lose your life than your house. And then they go out and they loot the houses after. So this is their community work. Can you hear the evil in their thought patterns? Can you see it? Basically, they come back to people with the food that they looted from maybe those people's houses. And then they act righteous. But in their minds, they are doing the right thing. Why? Because evil spirits are guiding them to do this, brainwashing them into thinking they are revolutionaries and they are protecting the interests of Haitians. I mean, sure, if Haitians are interested in being raped, starved, tortured, burned alive, shot, chopped by a machete, you catch my drift. I don't think they're interested in that. The gangs use propaganda, saying it's the government's fault. Barbecue actually organized a protest in the area he controls, where he handed out placards and made people protest. What a joke. On top of everything, it's so sad it's going to make me cry. Oh, man. On top of everything, the gangs have weapons that the police do not possess. And who do you think is supplying them with these guns? You think it's just the Colombians? The New York Times article wrote, once largely reliant on Haiti's political and business elite for money, some gangs have found independent financial lifelines since the assassination of the president in 2021 and the collapse of the state that ensued. Independent financial lifelines. Wealthy elites in the US and internationally fund wars. We see that, right? We know that. We know how much money is leaving our country, right? Why? Because they are in secret societies together, which really aren't so secret anymore. They give away their secrets all the time. It's just Americans are dumb, distracted, poisoned, and numb, just like how they want us. They don't want us to be smart, and they don't want us to find out the truth. Why? Because God is powerful, and they don't want us to feel God and His presence and His power. With that, I would like to take a pause in this video and tell you to whip out Google Maps right now on your phone or on your laptop and type in these words, Masonic Lodge. Yes, look around you. Look how many satanic temples are in your city. And this is not including the Catholic churches, the Buddhist temples, everything else that is against God. The gang leader I'm talking about, Barbecue, wears a necklace with the same symbol as this satanic club, the Masons. The same symbol that's on Ashton Kutcher's hat, and on this person's car, and on this lodge in Little Havana, and on the back of a truck in Bad Boys 2. Yes, all placed in different movies. Purposely. Yes, the Freemasons and Satanists run the world. By the way, Barbecue used to be a cop. He served with the Haitian police for 14 years. And the Freemasons are recruiting cops in the US and all over the world. Why? so they can corrupt justice and have the cops work for them, for their agendas, just like in Haiti, but a little bit more secretive about it, yes. Their agendas are of demons, which include maintaining humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Well, there are 8.2 billion people in the world now, so that's 7.7 billion that have to go according to their new world orders. Does it make sense why we have wars now? So why not let people die in Haiti? Less for them to worry about, less people to feed. Do you understand? They don't care about them, about you, about me. God cares though. Satan wants you to die. Satan wants blood. But with Jesus, he died and gave his blood for us so we could live in peace on earth and in heaven. That doesn't mean we won't get persecuted. We will. But we do not have to endure what these dark demons have to endure. Now, when they try to put their head on the pillow and they can't get rest, and when they die, which will be a long, drawn-out death forever.
Is he righteous? Yeah. Have two life, and the wicked have two death. You understand me?
I'd like to remind you that Satan is the author of lies. We've been over this. So the Freemasons at the bottom, they don't understand what they're getting into. They are promised something fulfilling. And they see successful men at the top, at least successful on the outside, but they don't know what they're really doing, selling their soul to the ruler of demons and bringing blood. Remember, he's the author of lies. Everyone involved is sold on lies. Just like the delusional gangs that seriously believe that they are the good guys, that will literally stab one of their constituents in the back, or a Hollywood elite that will have to endure a humiliation ritual or a sex ritual or kill someone in order to get ahead and have to live with that darkness forever in this life and in the afterlife. The necklace that Barbecue was wearing, he later changed it to a cross. Why? To confuse people, to make Christians look bad, and to mock Jesus. Why do OnlyFans girls wear crosses? Because the demons working in them want to disrespect Christ and to put a bad taste in people's mouths. So people don't want to associate with that. No, I don't want to associate with that. The girls don't really know what they're doing, but the demon in them knows. They know that it's blasphemy. So look deeper into things. Don't be spoon-fed by the media. And don't be spoon-fed by your pastors either, because Satan is working in the churches. How much easier is it to work through people, work through the closest people that you know, than it is to work through a stranger? Oh yeah. So don't be spoon-fed. You have to do your own research, and you have to read the Bible so God can open your eyes. And then when you see things, you'll see the truth. You'll see behind the lies. God calls it all out ahead of time, and then things happen exactly how he called it out. So in the description, I put some videos. I'll also, in a few days, I'll work on my playlist, so you guys have a bunch of videos that have helped me that you can watch, videos from other creators. Anyway, back to the gangs. One of the leaders, he brags that he has so many soldiers, he doesn't even know a lot of them. The gangs make songs blaming it on the politicians, but then they say, it's obvious we're working for the system. Barbecue got his name because he literally barbecues people alive inside their homes. An 81-year-old man who couldn't leave his home got barbecued alive in his home. These are his neighbors. This is who he's fighting for. So we have the king of lighting people on fire, and then we have the king of kidnapping, which is a different gang leader. And what does Satan do? Steal, kill, and destroy. One article stated, it's an open secret that doing business in Haiti often involves the use of violence. Initially, some businessmen used youth and gangs to attack their rivals, to loot, and set fire to the businesses of people they didn't want to deal with and to kidnap competitors. This has been going on for a long time, but now the gangs have become increasingly structured and more powerful. On top of all this, people have nowhere to put garbage. So they burn garbage in the street. And they're also burning dead bodies in the street. Imagine walking out to that every single day. The city wakes up to smoldering remains, and just 3 miles north of the capital is a dump which sits on top of what used to be their aquifer. After the earthquake, they dumped rubble there, and now they don't have a water source. In the description, there's an article called Waste in Time, which represents Haiti's desperate struggle to lift itself from the depths of misery and corruption rampant in Haiti for decades. It shows all the pics of people who live in the dump to survive by trying to collect plastic and things for money. It's literally a wasteland, all of it. And that is some people's biggest opportunity in that country right now. And by the way, God says he will make your land a desolate wasteland if you don't obey him. This can be applied to so many disasters that are out there happening right now. Guys, it is time to get right with God. So in all the fighting, the police lose their colleagues and they're disturbed every time they think about them. Meanwhile, the gangs just smoke and drink all day so they aren't tormented by their evil deeds and by the evil spirits. And by the way, drinking and doing drugs opens your body up to evil spirits. So that's what helps them commit those deeds. Barbecue tells them nobody's going to see your face, and everybody wears shiesties, to hide, because they're deceivers lurking to do dirty deeds. If you're on the right side of things, you don't have to cover your face. The devil is a liar, and these people are filled with the devil's presence, demonic spirits. The Bible says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Barbecue, he stands accused by the UN and the US of deadly crackdowns on dissidents, but he compares himself to Haiti's founding fathers. He says he freed the nation from slavery. He oscillates between talks of revolution and threats. He vows there will be no peace without giving a share of power to the gangs. Now they control the seafront and the ports of Port-au-Prince. They looted the containers and they control the fuel terminal. They have a stronghold on the country's infrastructure. He's saying he freed them from slavery, but everyone is now a slave to them. And they are also slaves to an unjust kingdom, the kingdom of death. Formerly, when you did not know God, you were slaves to those who by nature are not gods. This sums it up, my friends. Good people, they can go down dark paths and they can join dark forces, especially when they are in dire need, when they have no food, when they're depressed, when they're isolated and they have no friends, when they're abused or they're bullied, when they're stuck in a society where nobody is grateful and everybody wants more. The enemy latches on in these situations, and many of the young men that join these gangs, they don't see that they have any other option because they're under a curse. They have been taught what not to do, and they don't have God. This is what worked for their ancestors before, rebellion. But now the spirits have taken over and are having a heyday against their own people. So what do? We obey God. That's a lesson. It's unfortunate what's happening in Springfield. I understand how scary it is and how uncomfortable everyone is. On the other side of the train tracks, by me, just a block away, they do voodoo. There are zombies walking around. Oh yeah, they're real. They're not what the movies say that they are. They're basically a soulless person. I'll show you that in the future. So we can't just sit and watch social media all day. We need to get educated. We need to understand these people. We need to try to influence them to stop their practices and follow God. It will be a better place for everyone. Christians, it's time to pray for them. Pray over them. Preach the word with authority, knowing that God will back you up. Whether you want them deported or not, they're here now. And we, as well as they, need to know that we don't need to shed blood to get powers. That actually brings curses on us. We have the power of God within us, and the blood of Jesus covers us. He is our protection against evil. And by the way, there are people in your neighborhood who are doing the same thing with animals, only they disguise it. The world is getting darker every day, my friends. Everyone who sins is a slave to sin. Now, a slave has no permanent place in the family, but a son belongs to it forever. So if the son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Everyone is saying, why is our country going to? Because our country is becoming more lawless, more corrupt. You all want more freedom to come up with your own moral standards? Because morality is relative and everything is a theory now? Okay, then this is what you will get. Adults flailing around their parts in front of children, children performing for adults and being confused about who they are, teenagers prostituting themselves in an effort to discover who they are, and in turn losing themselves and seeking psychics, witchcraft, and Satanism. And now ketamine. Ketamine is now a drug that people take to relax, to help give them direction, peace of mind, some sort of power in a depressing society. God is very clear about his morals and standards, and he has put them in place to protect us, just like children. He calls us his children. He created the world that we live in for us to flourish with him and his assistance. Okay? He cares about every single one of us, no matter what you've done in the past, no matter what sins you've committed. He still cares about you. Okay? So if you step outside those boundaries and those commands and try to do it your own way, destruction ensues. Take Haiti as an example. Guys, you know there's more things happening in the world right now. You know it's getting a lot sadder, and people are getting a lot more depressed from a younger age, and there's more natural disasters, and there's questions with the food. There's all this stuff happening, guys. Time is running out for everybody. Satan knows his time here is short, and these elites, with how people are able to get information so quickly, they know that time is coming up too. Okay, why do you think they're building bunkers? They're scared. They're scared of us. Okay? Their time on earth is coming to an end. As things get harder, more people will turn to things that they think are going to give them more control over their situation. Okay? And keep looking at the ads that you're fed. Keep seeing how often they talk about magic, about witchcraft. Obviously, it's October 1st, so we're heading into, we're heading into Halloween, so you're going to see it all now, obviously. But guys, look, once this is passed, I want you to pay attention and see how much they're pushing drugs, how much they're pushing magic, obviously porn, Satanism in schools. This world is trying to turn us into the same wasteland as Haiti. They want us dead to serve their demons. So instead of doomsday prepping, focus on getting right with God, because he will guide you out of any famine, any disaster, if you only believe he will. And be nice to your neighbor. God commands it. You may need help from someone else one day. Okay? Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Look at the description for more videos that'll be helpful to you. And stay righteous, my friends. Talk soon.
C'est pas négazam, c'est yo. C'est pas négueto, c'est yo. C'est pas nous-mêmes, c'est yo. C'est yo, c'est yo.